So number 7 on the QR code review is asking us to determine whether or not the function is even, odd, or neither. So before we begin, remember, if f of negative x is equivalent to f of x, then your function f of x is even, which means there's symmetry about the y-axis. If f of negative x is the opposite of f of x, or negative f of x, then your function is odd, and there is symmetry with the origin. So that's what we're going to be focusing on in these problems here. So part A, it says, here's f of x, so I want to get f of negative x. So f of negative x means I replace every x with a negative x, and I see what I get. Okay, so I've done that there. So if I do a little analysis here, if I take a negative number and I raise it to an odd power, it will still be negative. So that is equivalent of negative x to the 5th. This is minus 4x, this is minus 7. So now look at this. This right here is not the same as the original function. So therefore, these are not the same. So therefore, this tells me it's not even. Now, just because it's not even, that doesn't guarantee that it's going to be odd. You have to check and see. So let's check the negative of f of x. So the opposite of f of x is just put a minus sign in front of your entire function and then distribute if you can. So this would give me negative x to the 5th minus 4x plus 7. Now look at this. This is not equal to that, and it's not equal to the original. So anyways, that tells me that this is not odd. So therefore, because it's not even and it's not odd, the first one is neither. That's the analysis you have to do for that one. Okay, let's do part B. Again, I'm going to figure out what's g. This is a g function. So what's g of negative x? Well, that's going to be 2 times negative x square root of negative x squared plus 3. That's negative 2x square root of, if I take a negative number and I square it, then I'm guaranteed that that number was always positive. So that's just x squared plus 3. Okay, so there is my g of negative x, and that is not the same as g of x right there. So since this right here is not the same as that, this tells me that it is not even. Okay, now again, just because it's not even doesn't mean it's not odd. So you gotta check as well and see. So let's check the opposite of g of x. So put a negative sign out in front and simplify when you can. So I did that, and then distribute. This will give me negative 2x square root of x squared plus 3. Now compare this to this. Look at, these are the same. So that tells me that this is the same as that. That's the definition of odd. So therefore, g of x is odd. And if it's odd, we know it has symmetry with the origin. Okay, and there's still one more to do. So I'll put that right on top here. This last one here says h of x is equal to x to the 4th minus 20x squared. So again, I want to figure out, okay, what's h of negative x? That's going to be negative x to the 4th minus 20 negative x squared. So negative x to the 4th, if I take a negative number and I raise it to an even power, it's guaranteed to be a positive number. So that's just the same thing as x to the 4th. And then same thing here, if I take a negative and raise it to an even power, guaranteed to be positive. So 20x squared, check that out. That is exactly the same as this. So if those are the same, that means that this is the same. That means h of x is the equivalent of h of negative x. So therefore, h of x is an even function. And that means it has symmetry with the y-axis. Whew, long problem there. There you go.